I'll take these off here. Okay, so what you wrote down that polygons have the same shape but not necessarily the same size, similar polygons. So here is an example of similar polygons. As you can see, they are the same shape, but one's actually dilated or like stretched larger. Polygons that are similar if their corresponding angles are congruent. So you'll notice that the corresponding angles are the same measure. Can you get that mic? The corresponding angles are the same measure, and that's how you can actually identify similar triangles. And their side lengths are proportional. So if you'll notice, this side corresponds with this one. What's that? Sorry. This side corresponds with this one. You can do 10 divided by 2 to get to 5. You can do 12 divided by 2 to get to 6, and 4 divided by 2 to get to 7. They're all related through a scale factor, which we'll get to in a second. To write a similarity statement, it looks like this. This symbol means similar to. Triangle ABC is similar to XYZ. Just like when you write a congruent statement, everything has to correspond. So if you write it in this order, this angle has to be the same as X, angle B has to be the same as angle Y, and angle C has to be the same as Z. Scale factor, which I mentioned, is a ratio of the corresponding sides. I've also seen it defined as what you multiply to get to the side length of the other similar figure. So here I show that X over Z is proportional to A over C, and I wrote 6 over 12, and that simplified to 1/2. In a similar figure, all the corresponding sides will simplify to that ratio. So YZ over BC, 7 over 14 simplified to 1/2, and 5 over 10 simplified to 1/2. You could multiply 10 times 1/2 to get 5, 12 times 1/2 to get 6, and 14 times 1/2 to get 7. Scale factor doesn't always have to, it could be k equals 1/2, or it could be k equals 2 over 1, or just 2. Because you could do 7 times 2 is 14, 5 times 2 is 10, and 6 times 2 is 12. So both of these would be a correct scale factor. And now for some examples. The first example says, if this triangle is similar to this one, list all the pairs of congruent angles and write a proportion that relates to corresponding sides. So based on this similarity statement, angle A is equal to angle X. Angle B is equal to angle Y. And angle Z, or C, is equal to Z. Angle Z. So C is equal to Z. I'll do 3 lines there. Let's do that. Oh, I didn't realize you couldn't see it here. So B was equal to Y. And A was equal to X. So there's the corresponding angles. It also says to write a proportion that relates to corresponding sides. I notice that this side corresponds with this one here. So I'm going to say AB over YX, or XY. And then it looks like this side right here corresponds to this one. So BC over YZ. And then this side corresponds with this one. So AC over XC. Next example, determine whether the pair of figures is similar, these two figures here. If so, write the similarity statement and scale factor. So if these are similar, then what I multiply 9 by to get 6 will be the same as what I multiply 12 by to get 8, and so on. The way I can show this is find corresponding sides. So this corresponds with this one. 9 over 6 equals, I notice that this corresponds with this side, 12 over 8. This side corresponds with this one, 18 over 12. And This side corresponds with this one, so 15 over 10. If all of these fractions come out to the same thing, then it's similar. So in the calculator, I would just do 9 divided by 6, I get 1.5. 12 divided by 8 would come out to 1.5. 18 divided by 12 is 1.5, and 15 divided by 10 is 1.5. So the scale factor is 1.5. You could also say the scale factor is 3/2 or 2/3. If you were to simplify these fractions, I would simplify to 3/2. Okay, next, same kind of concept, just represented in a little bit of a different way. It says these two triangles are similar. Measure of angle B equals what? Well, these two angles are corresponding, so measure angle B must be 78 degrees. Angle B is congruent to angle Y. Measure angle Y is 78, so measure angle B must be 78. And the second one here, it says that BC is proportional to YZ, XZ. So what corresponds with XZ? It's this AC right here. So AC would go up here. And then here, blank corresponds to XZ. AC corresponds to XZ. So BC over YZ equals AC over XZ. And the last one over here, measure of angle A equals 42 degrees, because it corresponds with angle X. And then the proportion, BC over YZ equals what over XY? So XY is right here. The side that corresponds to it is that one, so be AB. Okay, next page. Now we're going to actually get to solving things. Okay, in example 1, the two polygons are similar. Find X and Y. So we're already told that they're similar, meaning their sides are proportional. I need to find what X is and Y is. Looking at corresponding sides, this side corresponds with this one. So 32 over 16 equals, and then this side corresponds with this one, so it'd be X over 13. And then from here, you just use cross multiplication. And to find Y, I'm still going to use 32 over 16. And then this side corresponds with Y, so 38 over Y. Six over 8 equals. Okay, the next example, it's saying that these two are similar. Find the scale factor of DEF to GHJ and the perimeter of each triangle. So to find the scale factor, I can just take two corresponding sides and put one number on top of the other and then simplify that fraction. So I'm going to divide by 4 here, and then I'll get 3/2. So my scale factor is 3/2. If I take any one of these numbers and multiply it by 3/2, I'll get the side length of the other triangle. So for example, if I take 10 here and multiply it by 3/2. 30 over 2, which is 15. So this side length here is 15. Then DF, which corresponds with GH, is 12. So I'm going to take 12 and multiply by 3/2. And I get 18. That's the side length here. It asks for the perimeter of each triangle though. So the perimeter of the first one, 10 plus 8 plus 12 is 30. And now that I have these side lengths, the perimeter of the second one, 15 plus 18 plus 12 comes out to 45. What they want you to realize is that the perimeters are also proportional based on that scale factor. Perimeter is proportional by the scale factor. So if I took the perimeter of the first one, which was 30, and multiplied it by the scale factor 3/2, I would get 45, which was the perimeter of the second one. Moving on to the next 4 questions. I know this is getting kind of long. I'm going to cut out 2 and 4. And we're just going to do 1 and 3. So each pair of polygons is similar. Find the value of x. Well, this corresponds with this side. So x over 9 equals, and then this side corresponds with this one, 8 over 12. And then I can use cross multiplication. Number 3, this side corresponds with here, so 12 over 18 equals, I need to find x, so that's why I'm using this side. This corresponds with 24, so x plus 1 over 24. And then cross multiplication, 18 times x plus 1, 12 times 24, comes out to 288. And the last problem on the page, it says if this rectangle is similar to this one, find the scale factor and the perimeter of each polygon. So I have 2 rectangles. With a rectangle, opposite sides are equal. So if that's 20, this is 20. And if this is 14, this is 14. First, I need to find the scale factor, and I can do that by taking corresponding sides and finding that scale factor. I'm going to take those 2 sides, 25 over 20. Simplify it by dividing by 5. I get 5 over 4. So the scale factor is 5 over 4. Now what I can do is I can find the perimeter of the first one and then multiply it by the scale factor to find the perimeter of the second one. So perimeter of this right here, 14 plus 20 plus 14 plus 20, comes out to 68. Then take 68 and multiply it by 5/4. So the perimeter of the second one is 85. Okay, we're going to move to the next page. Okay, so as I mentioned, there is going to be a little bit more practice with this, and you just can't, you're not going to get it unless you actually do the practice problems. So I'm going to walk you through each type of problem here, and then I'm going to send you on your own to do it. And yes, there was people that finished both this and their homework before they left class, so it's just, you just have to practice it. Okay, so here for these, just chill. For these problems here, you're going to fill in vocabulary. So you have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 2. The answers to these vocabulary ones are what you wrote down over here. So just read through them, fill in the words, and just make sure you understand the concepts. Then for number 5, that one is pretty simple. I think you'll do just fine with that one. Number 6, 7, and 8. I'm going to do number 6 with you. And then you'll have to do 7 and 8. So number 6, it says the polygons in each pair are similar. Find the scale factor of the smaller figure to the larger one. So just pick a corresponding side. I have 35 and 14. I'm just going to put 35 over 14 and simplify that. And you get 5 over 2. So k equals 5 over 2. And that's it. So you'll do 7 and 8 in a second, but I'm going to continue giving you an example of each type of problem. And then, thank you, Campbell. I'll zoom out a little bit. Okay, number 9. State if the polygons are similar. If so, find the scale factor. So to determine if they're similar, you have to make sure that everything's proportional. So I'm choosing two corresponding sides, 48 over 40. And I'll choose these two as well. If that's equal to 24 over 20, then it is similar and everything's proportional. If I divide 48 divided by 40 in a calculator, I get 1.2. If I do 24 divided by 20 in a calculator, I get 1.2. Since I get the same number, yes, they're similar, everything's proportional. I'm going to do number 10 with you as well. Okay, so here, this is corresponding with this one. So I get 36 over 24. And I'm putting that equal to 24 over 18. I divide this out in a calculator and we get 1.5 for 36 divided by 24. And 24 divided by 18 is 1.3 repeating. These are not the same numbers, so therefore no, it's not similar or proportional. You'll repeat that same process for number 11 in a second. We're going to move on to the next page. So number 12 I'm going to do with you. You're finding the missing side length. You're told that they are similar, so you already know they're proportional. So I notice that this side is corresponding with this one. So x over 24 equals, and then this side's corresponding with this one, 10 over 15. And then use cross multiplication. X times 15, 15x. 24 times 10 is 240. And this solves to 16. So the answer there is 16. You'll do 13 and 14 on your own. This is the answer to 13, but you do need to have the work shown. I'm just giving you the answer so that way as you're doing it, you can check and make sure you're getting it correct. There's the answer to 14. But what you're going to do is put the work down here. Then for 15, I'm going to do 15 with you, and I'm going to cross some of these out in a second, so just so you know. These two are similar. However, this one has a little bit of a different orientation. See how it's like flipped and rotated? The longest still corresponds to the longest side, so 63 over 6x minus 6 equals, and then here I'm going to take the shortest side of the triangle and correspond it with the shortest side over here. So you have 35 over 30. And then you would do your cross multiplication. And you would use a calculator, obviously, at this point. I'm just going to fill in the numbers because I've already calculated it. And as you can see, those numbers, just because it's larger numbers makes it feel longer. We're going to cross out 16. You're going to do 17. The answer is x equals 11, so do all the work until you get the correct answer. 18, cross it out. 19 and 20 are the same type of problem. So 19, it says that the scale factor from A to B is 5 over 6. What is x? Well, it's A to B, so you need to make sure to do A to B here, 30 over 30x, and then you can use cross multiplication to solve. Get x equals 12. And then 20 you'll do on your own. The answer is x equals 7. Okay, so it'll take about 10 minutes or so to finish these 2 pages. And then once you're done with that, then you can do the 5-question homework assignment. If you have questions, let me know, of course. And good luck.